Welcome to the Kenya Wantam Notam Movement KWM podcast.
Great to be here.
Today, we're really digging into some pretty significant ideas from the Kenya Wantam Notam movement.
That's right. Specifically, their call for a homegrown governance system in Kenya.
Yeah. And the name itself, Wantam Notam, it kind of signals that focus, right? Local empowerment, indigenous wisdom.
Exactly. Sets the stage. So our mission today is really to unpack their core arguments, the vision they lay out.
And we're drawing from a specific source for this deep dive.
Yep. An article called Why Kenya Needs a Homegrown Governance System, A Call for Change. It's published by Village Action Online.
Okay.
And it offers a really fresh perspective on what's, let's face it, been a long-standing challenge.
Absolutely. And just to set the tone, this is about looking at positive solutions, maybe some innovative ways forward for national development.
Mm-hmm. Rethinking what's possible, really.
So let's jump right in. The KWM starts with a pretty strong statement. They say Kenya's modeled its democracy on Western nations for, what, over 60 years?
Yeah, since independence.
And the results, in their words, have been disappointing. That's quite blunt. What specific outcomes are they talking about?
Well, the article doesn't mince words. It points directly to things like tribal clashes, corruption, and leadership failures.
Okay, familiar issues, sadly.
Right. But they stress this isn't just, a bad patch. They call it a deep-rooted pattern.
A pattern, implying the system itself might be part of the problem.
That seems to be the core argument. It raises that big question, why do these things keep happening, even with the current system? Maybe the model itself doesn't quite fit Kenya's context.
Interesting. So if the current model isn't working, where do they look for inspiration?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. They point, maybe surprisingly to some, to the United States. Not the system itself necessarily, but the history.
How so?
They highlight how the U.S., after breaking from Britain, didn't just, stick with a monarchy.
Right, they created something new.
Exactly. They created a system from the ground up, designed, as the KWM puts it, for their unique needs, culture, aspirations. Think Declaration of Independence, the Constitution. It was radically different.
No king. Power split three ways.
So the KWM asks, how does that American process of self-creation apply to Kenya?
So it's not about importing the U.S. Constitution.
No, definitely not. That's key. It's about drawing inspiration from that act of self-determination, that boldness to innovate.
Okay.
The idea is that Kenya can create a system tailored to our unique culture, values, and traditions, instead of, keep trying to fit into foreign models that, in their view, don't work for us.
It's about finding an authentic Kenyan way.
Precisely. An indigenous innovation, if you will.
And that idea of unique culture brings us to another major point they make. Kenya's diversity.
Yes, the 47 counties, each with its own culture, traditions, languages. It's incredibly rich.
But the KWM asks, why let this divide us? They see it as a strength being mismanaged. How so?
Well, the article links this directly back to those problems we mentioned earlier. Tribalism, corruption, constant political strife.
They see a connection.
They do.
Yeah.
They talk about how every 5 years, we are dragged into tribal elections that tear families and communities apart.
That's a powerful image.
It is, and their argument is that the current sort of centralized winner-takes-all system actually fuels this. It turns tribal identity into a political tool.
Instead of celebrating it.
Right. So the challenge they pose is, how do you design a system differently? One that can embrace our tribal diversity and allow each county to have a voice constructively.
Okay, so if that's the problem in the principle, what's the actual proposal? Because they do have one, right?
They do, and it's bold.
Not listening.
They propose abolishing the presidency entirely.
Wow, okay. Abolish the presidency, then what?
Replace it with a council of governors.
A council of governors?
Yeah.
All 47. How would that even work?
So the idea laid out is that each of the 47 counties gets a turn leading the country. One governor serves as head of state for 1 year.
1 year. Rotating leadership among 47 governors.
That's the proposal. The stated benefits are, first, reducing the tension around elections, no single big prize to fight over quite the same way.
I can see that potential benefit. Less zero-sum.
And second, over 47 years, every region gets its moment to lead, showcase its capabilities. They believe this would actively help to break down the tribal barriers.
A 47-year cycle. That certainly promotes inclusivity on paper. But practically?
Mhm.
One-year terms,
Mhm.
policy continuity, international relations.
Absolutely. Those are huge questions. The source focuses more on the why, the vision of unity and reduced tension, the how, the specific mechanics of decision-making in such a council that would need a lot more fleshing out for sure.
Yeah.
It's a conceptual shift they're proposing.
A very significant one. And they also talk about culture, about returning to our roots. What does that involve?
Yeah, they look back to pre-colonial times. They mention local chiefs, councils, people who, they argue, really understood their people and maintained peace within communities.
So are they suggesting going back to that entirely?
Not exactly. The phrase they use is merge the best of both worlds.
Okay. A synthesis.
Right. Combining that traditional understanding, that local wisdom, with modern structures and needs. It's not about abandoning progress, but integrating heritage.
And celebrating it too, right? They mentioned the tribes.
Yes, very strongly. They argue Kenya's tribes are not a weakness. They are part of what makes us unique. They even compare it to Germany or France celebrating their regional cultures. Why shouldn't Kenya?
That's a fair point.
And they even tackle the faith angle, saying, embracing your heritage doesn't conflict with faith. It's about justice, mercy, humility.
So it's a holistic view of identity, but merging 47 diverse traditional systems with national law? That sounds complex.
Oh, incredibly complex, no doubt about it. Getting that balance right would be a massive undertaking.
This ties into something else they mentioned, the chains of colonial legacy. What's their point there?
They suggest that colonial powers convinced Kenyans that their own traditions were backward, something to be ashamed of.
A common tactic in colonization, unfortunately.
Indeed. So the KWM's message is a rejection of that narrative. It's a clear statement. Our culture is a strength, not a weakness.
And the governance system should reflect that.
Exactly. Build a system that celebrates every Kenyan, using that diversity as the actual foundation, which leads them to ask, could rejecting your own roots actually be why development has stalled?
That's a provocative thought, that the path forward might actually involve looking backward, or rather, inward.
It flips the script on conventional development thinking, in a way.
And all this builds up to their final call to action, doesn't it?
It does, a really powerful one. Kenya belongs to all of us. They talk about creating a country where everyone can thrive. Unity based on respect, honoring traditions.
And they believe it's possible.
Yes. They state, Kenya has the resources, knowledge, and ability. It just requires, in their view, the courage to make such a fundamental change.
Courage and presumably collaboration. Which brings us to something practical for you listening.
Ah, yes.
Speaking of shaping Kenya's future, the Kenya Wantam Notam movement isn't just talking about this stuff. They've actually set up an online space for this kind of collaboration.
That's right. It's at www.wantnotam.com, WANTMNOTAM.com.
And the idea is you can go there, create an account.
And they've got all 47 counties listed. So you find your county, and you can start posting your own ideas for your village, your city, your nation.
So it's a platform to actually engage with these ideas, contribute your own thoughts from the ground up.
Exactly. It's putting that grassroots principle into practice.
So definitely check that out, www.wantamnotam.com.
Yeah.
This whole deep dive, it really makes you think about how ingrained our systems are.
And how much potential there might be in looking inwards, like you said, finding solutions that genuinely fit who we are.
It's a hopeful picture the KWM paints, isn't it? Diversity as strength, decentralized power, everyone having a voice.
Definitely hopeful. And challenging. It invites real engagement from people.
Which brings us back to that call to action. If you want to participate in shaping that vision, the place to start is www.wantamnotam.com.
Create your account, find your county, share your ideas, be part of the conversation.
And while you're thinking about building a better future, don't forget the foundations. We always like to point you to helpful resources.
That's right. Check out the episode description. We've got links in there that can help you first maybe explore starting your own business. Economic empowerment is key.
Absolutely. And second, resources to help you take care of your health. Because a healthy nation needs healthy people.
Couldn't agree more. It's all connected.
Well, this has been a fascinating exploration.
It really has. A lot to think about.
Thank you for listening to the Kenya Wantam Notam Movement, KWM podcast.